Welcome, everybody. My name's Lindsay Hume. I am a therapist turned life coach for women who want to leave their past behind them, right? And focus entirely on the future and creating an extraordinary goal for themselves. So I teach mindset tools and strategies to help you overcome things like fear, self-doubt, and people pleasing so that you can create exactly what you want in the areas of love, life, and money. And today I want to talk to you about how failing actually helps you achieve your extraordinary goal. So if you have a goal, something that feels impossible right now, your brain might be telling you to quit, right? That don't even bother trying. It's not going to happen. You're going to fail. And maybe you will fail, right? But when you quit before you've even tried, right, that is also failing. It might temporarily feel better, right? It may seem easier, but it's still failing. And when you fail this way, you miss out on what Dan Sullivan calls the strategic byproducts, or think of it as all the wisdom, experience, and self-growth you will achieve through actually taking the action and being willing to fail. Okay, so when you take action and fail and learn from it, you end up somewhere new, right? You've evolved somewhere you haven't been before, right? Or having some type of skill or learning that you didn't have before. Okay, when you don't even try, you stay exactly where you are. You simply repeat the life that you have right now over and over and over. Okay, so if you want to do something different, if you want to be someone different, achieve something different, if you have an extraordinary goal, the key is to be willing to fail. Okay, so how do we fail, right, in order to succeed? And this is such a great question to ask yourself, because failing over and over again is the way we achieve most big things, right? Think about a baby learning to walk and how they attempt to even just like pull themselves up to begin with and fall down, and pull themselves up and fall down, and then they're standing and holding on to something, and but when they go to take their hands away, they fall down, and they go through this whole process, right? And it is in the failing, it is in the falling down and trying to get back up that they actually build the muscles required in the legs to stay standing. So without the failure, they actually would never be able to learn how to walk. And I love this analogy because it's just the perfect example of how failing can actually be necessary to getting you where you want to go, right? Failing is how we figure out the how. And there are two kinds, so there are two kinds of failures, I guess, is what I should say, that really we're talking about here. The first one are active fails, and the second one are passive fails. Passive fails are when we fail on purpose, right? To avoid something, right? And usually that something is a negative feeling. 9 times out of 10, we're trying to avoid something like humiliation, embarrassment, shame, blame, whatever it may be, right? Examples of passive failing include things like overeating or over drinking when you didn't plan to, right? Not following through on your commitments, not taking action, changing your mind, going back on what you decided, right? Staying confused, giving up, lowering your standards, okay? Making excuses. All of these things are examples of passive failure, right? Where we are not taking some kind of action. And the result is not only us missing out on the strategic byproducts, but it's also staying exactly where we are, right? We're missing out on the strategic byproducts and we're not moving forward, okay? Active failures can be defined as not getting the exact results you want, right, from an action you do take, as opposed to the passive failure, which is defined as inaction. So if your goal is to learn how to ride a motorbike, for example, then every hour you spend practicing and failing is an active fail, right? You are learning in that process about what works and what doesn't work. Not trying to get on the bike at all would be a passive failure. If you're trying to fill a course, for example, with 50 people, maybe, the hour you spend teaching a webinar where nobody shows up is an active fail, right? Because as you teach the webinar, you're learning, right? You're speaking, even if it's to nobody, you're learning what it takes to deliver a webinar, maybe how to like read your notes, look at the camera, use the mouse to move your presentation, for example. It's all learning. Whereas if you had chose just to not do the webinar or do something else in replacement of it, like work on your website for an hour, that would be a passive fail, right? This is a very important skill to learn and a very difficult one for most of us because we're taught that failure is so bad, right? Even in school, it's like we don't want to bring home an F. But when we think of failure in this way, it really limits us. It keeps us from learning, and it definitely keeps us from trying new things and evolving to our next level. Okay. When you open yourself up to failing on a regular basis, when you're willing to try the impossible, your life and the possibilities for it expand exponentially. Okay. Meeting the love of your life, making $1 million, completing the Ironman, surfing, all of these things can become a part of your life when you're willing to fail. Okay. Because if you go back to the example of the motorbike, like when you ride the motorbike and fail, right? Maybe fall off, you're still riding the motorbike. Okay. And imagine what's possible for you if you're willing to do that for an entire year and fail, right? Even if you never get the total hang of it, right? You will have conquered a fear. You will have probably learned skills that you didn't have before. You will understand more about what it means to ride a motorbike. Okay? A motorcycle. Motorbike sounds kind of cheesy. Motorcycle. We always have a choice, right? We can give up and hide, or we can embrace the fact that failure and the pain of failure, right? The negative emotions that come along with it are part of the process and keep going. I want to share a story that some of you may have heard me talk about already about how I did this without even really knowing I was doing it when I started dating. Okay, so when I decided I wanted to meet my now husband, I decided I was going to do it online. And I remember specifically thinking, I'm going to go on as many bad dates as I possibly can. I want all the bad dates because I was convinced that the more bad dates I had, the closer I was to the good one, right? The right one. And so even though I had a very specific, and I've talked about this before too, I had a very specific idea of what it was I wanted in a partner. And I was not willing to lower my standards, right? I knew what I wanted, right? From like how he dressed to the music he listened to, food he liked to eat, all of these different things, the type of person he was. I was open to dating anyone who asked me, anyone who popped up on my profile as a match in order to meet him. I just knew that the way to meet him was not to sit back and wait for the perfect moment or the perfect profile to pop up. It was to get out there, date, fail as many times as possible in a row, because I knew in each failure, I remember was such a celebration for me because I was like, yes, right? One more down, one more closer to meeting the person that I am meant to meet. Okay. And when you think about that, the worst thing that was going to happen, and that did happen in those dates for me, was a negative feeling, right? It was disappointment, or sometimes like frustration, annoyance. And your negative feelings, depending on the goal you have, might be something different, right? Humiliation, right? Shame, all of these things. But they're all just feelings. They're vibrations in your body. You can describe them if you tap into them, right? It's like if I feel humiliated, I might feel tightness in my chest. I know that I get hot, like I get kind of flush, right? I have a feeling like I kind of want to hide away, but it's just a feeling, okay? You can survive it. And if you're totally willing to feel anything on the way to your impossible goal, you will never give up, because whatever feeling you come up against, you're like, okay, let me have it. I can experience this. I can feel it, because I know that the strategic byproduct of continuing to move forward is greater than giving up here right now, giving into this negative feeling and quitting. Okay. So just remember, they're just feelings, vibrations in your body. Don't let them stop you. Open up to them. When you do this, you become unstoppable. So in your daily life, as you feel a negative emotions, don't try to escape them. Start practicing being able to just sit with them, feel them, and let them move through you and pass. The more you can do this, the more you will be able to open up to impossible goals, right? Trying new things, evolving to the next level. Okay, so it was kind of a quick one today, but I hope it was impactful. If you want to talk about something like this, if it's specific, right, to actually feeling negative feelings and failing on purpose, or if you just want to reach out and discuss how working together can help you achieve your extraordinary goal, please send me a message. You can go to my Instagram, which is Lindsay E. Hume _life coach, and you can send me a message or click the link in my bio and schedule a free consult call with me. And we will get you moving today for nothing. Okay, it's free. There's no strings attached. And we can start building your plan to achieve that extraordinary goal right now. Okay. Thank you, and I'll see you next week.